seeded number 4 to serve to the number 8 seed, Marc Rosset. Laying down the gauntlet immediately.
Well, Rosset won the spin of the coin and obviously elected to receive, and noticeably that Ivanisevic chose that side rather than this, because the near side here was the side in which he had his match points against Forget and blew them.
And the other factor maybe as we look at the replay, Ivanisevic has been serving and volleying virtually throughout the week, is that at the far end it's difficult to sight the ball. You lose it in the crowd, said Guy Forget. So Ivanisevic opens up with a love service game and 2 breaks. Thundering that one down at 189 Ks. Then here are the top 5 in the world rankings. Sampras has moved away a little bit following his win last week. Chang, watch his figure there, 3470 is the computer ranking points. Well, the winner of this match gets 260. 260. Chang's not playing this week, but you can see that Ivanisevic is way too far behind Chang at 2567 to move up above the American courier. He's in the final in Philadelphia playing Chris Woodruff, the qualifier, and I think I'm right in saying that we'll have that final for you tomorrow afternoon on Eurosport. And our next tournament on Eurosport is Rotterdam, starting Thursday. And news from Rotterdam is that Britain's Tim Henman has successfully come through the qualifying, which is good. Not quite so good. He's drawn the 7th seed Jan Simmerink in the first round, the Dutchman that Fru was referring to earlier.
Rosset can be vulnerable on his opening service game. He lost the very first service game yesterday, and against Furlan he lost the very first game of the second set.
Yes, on the line.
The backhand volley can be a little dodgy, particularly when he's playing it down the line.
So immediately we get our good friends, the back-to-back love service games. It's a best of 3 set final and tie breaks in all 3 sets.
Yes, Ivanisevic had 4 love games against Forget, and Rosset won fewer in his semi-final.
Yes, that's good.
Well, scoring with the double-hander, in the past, he seems to have made a lot more off the back foot than he tends to make off the front foot. That he certainly played off the front foot.
Third ace, and cranking them up, although Rosset actually normally serves a little bit faster. But doesn't serve as many aces.
The bandage around the left thigh there, it's a niggling injury. Nothing too bad. So already the pattern emerging that we expected, pretty much serve dominated the opening 3 games,
And it's Ivanisevic who leads by 2-1 in the first set.
He generally moves a lot, of course, in running around his backhand, has good footwork to get the big forehand into action.
You can see 204 kilometers from Rosset, the fastest serve of the week, 210. Jordi Barrio in the first round against Yevgeny Kavelnikov, the fastest of the year, 217, the fastest ever recorded on the speed gun, 220. Which I think I'm right in saying translates 220 to 137 miles an hour.
Well, he couldn't really anticipate this because it was a particularly good volley and short, and that was about as well as he could hope to do. Because just as I mentioned, it'd be important for Rosset to move his legs to cover the Ivanisevic swinging serve, so it will apply to Ivanisevic on his double-handed backhand.
Yes, maybe that would have been the better idea.
Well, this is very conventional from Ivanisevic, but Rosset probably not too concerned at 40 love. He's not a man, unlike Ivanisevic, who does win a lot of love games. Rosset very often at 40 love will just lose a bit of concentration.
So the first 2 games were love games, the next 2 15 games. I suppose we should therefore expect 2 30 games. Oh, that's a really good approach from Ivanisevic. Sometimes we criticize him for using the one-handed slice, but it was very appropriate there.
Yes, the criticism really comes when he has plenty of time to use the two-handed, which he did there. But as you say, almost the perfect shot, because Rosset was out of court, and had he gone for the two-hander, he would have been looking for depth.
Once again, we have the trembler device calling the nets. That's a common feature now of the ATP Tour, and I must say, I think generally it's been very well accepted, working well. Just a few queries.
Well, this is the new look Ivanisevic, much newer in 1996, a lot more serve volleying, which gives his game a different complexion.
First double fault from Goran, his 13th of the week. Rosset served 11. Given that Rosset's played 2 more sets, shows that he's a little more miserly in that department. Just 3 points against the serve in the first 5 games, and it's 3-2 Ivanisevic, first set. Well, there's one of the reasons why serve is dominating so far. Both getting a very good percentage of first serves in. Rosset quite exceptional. Both these two playing in Rotterdam next week. Sadly, no Michael Stich, and that news that he's very doubtful now for next month's Davis Cup tie against France. First ace from Rosset.
Yes, I imagine unless he switches to serve to the Ivanisevic forehand on the right court, that much of Rosset's power today will come on the left court. Because serving wide like that, he's bound to take a bit off. For instance, that was 170 kilometers an hour. But why battle it down if you can win as easily as he's won his 2 points to that court?
Three all in the first set.
As Ivanisevic touches his white socks, noticeable the last couple of weeks, he's left his navy blue or black socks at home, thankfully.
I reckon you had a word with a hotel in Dubai and told them to whip them all.
Or blanch them.
Yes.
One of the problems for Rosset, and as for most players, is that against Forget, who returns pretty well, other than the one game in which he was broken, Ivanisevic, only 3 times did he lose 2 successive points on his service. Only 3 times all match.
But he's lost 2 in a row now. Second double. And the first time there's been any sort of threat to the serve. 30 all. Seventh ace. Make that 8. So Ivanisevic serves himself out of trouble. And how many times do we say that during the course of a tournament? 4-3. In the singles final, it's 3-4 first set.
Well, if the returns come to the forehand, Rosset's going to feel a lot more comfortable. Big reach, of course.
Yes, you can see the difference in the quality of the 2 volleys, particularly as Fru McMillan was saying a little earlier, when Rosset tries to go down the line. And I suppose Fru, against a left-hander, is likely to try and do that rather more.
Yes, I think he just plays it really hoping to get it in very often. Oh, this is a blinder. Yorked here. Beaten for speed. 176, but it almost came back at approaching 200, I would have thought.
Well, Ivanisevic took a nasty tumble yesterday. That one he was really knocked over by the force of the serve right at him.
Yes, that's a good ruse, that, at that speed. How do you make room and play the shot?
Like that. Speed isn't everything. First break point. got him.
Well, Ivanisevic for this final has really got up a lot more quickly than he ever did against Stech, but then Stech serving enabled him to keep on top. But quite a brilliant returning game that by Ivanisevic.
5-3, serving for the set. Yes, I mean, the two things we've really noticed that is different about Ivanisevic this year to previous years, Rossi thought that was long, I didn't. Serving and volleying almost all the time, and also attacking far more with the double-handed backhand. Ace number 9.
Well, they must have had their doubts watching him play yesterday against Forget when he was a bad boy, but today he's been nothing but good.
3 set points. Just 19 minutes that opening set takes, and Ivanisevic is halfway to a third title of the year. Welcome back. So an immaculate set, that one from Ivanisevic. Let's see what Rosset can do in the second.
Well, he's on his heels a bit. But he's had adversity before this week, Rosset, and come through. A couple of times lost the first set.
At the moment he's lost 7 successive points. Good depth on the volley to end that run.
Yes, it's not quite as impressive as those 30 successive points that Ivanisevic won on his serve against Adriano Voinier. End of one set, through the whole of the next set, including a tiebreaker, didn't drop a serve, didn't drop a point.
Second ace from Rossi. Well, very important for Rosset that he made a better start to the second set than he made a finish to the first, particularly having dropped the opening point.
Yes, but gets inside that volley rather nicely, and it again kept rather low. Of course, if the slice is quite severe and getting inside the ball, that can very often happen. It is going to keep low. It's a fairly low bouncing court, apart from 1 or 2 times when the ball hits the seam, other than, of course, 2 when Rosset is serving, because it's coming down from a dizzy height. Rather ironic that these chaps, there's veteran Martic, who's Ivanisevic's coach, from Split as well. As I said, just a 5-hour car journey away. But he's been here all week, and I think has done, well, seems to have done Ivanisevic some good. I think the beauty is that they can get on so well together. his first native-born coach for some time.
Yes, they were school friends in Split. Although it's very interesting that, as here, Ivanisevic, you can see, caught too far back. Yesterday, Ivanisevic was full of praise for his previous coach, Bob Brett, saying all the hard work that they were putting in when he was having a bad time last year, he thought had come together at the Grand Slam Cup, and now that he's started working this year with Vedran Martic, they're sort of continuing from that work.
Yes, I think it was too long association for there not to have been some good in it.
Bob Brett is now working with Andrei Medvedev, who had 2 match points against Guy Forget in the semis. In the quarters, I should say.
Well, that's terrific blanket coverage of the net by Ivanisevic. This is when he begins to look such an impressive all-round player. As those weren't bad ground strokes from Rosset. Ion Tiriac.
Ion Tiriac, of course, manager of Ivanisevic, and quite possibly soon to be manager of Steffi Graf. I understand the contract is prepared, but not yet signed.
Yes, he evidently came up with a few sponsors for this event, even his Tiriac, with his contacts here in Italy. He runs the event in Rome as well, so has some very good local sponsors who've put up some money here for this event. Little sigh of relief, I think, because that was a shot that Ivanisevic might have made. Didn't get there in a hurry. No foot fault yet from Rosset. Mind you, he wasn't foot faulted in his semi-final, but he was 5 times in his quarter-final. To his disgust, I might add, because he maintains that he, as a rule, is never foot faulted.
Ace number 3 from the Swiss, and he's ahead on serve. 2-1, second set. There are pair from Split. Well, Goran can't protest because there's the people coming into the box of Ion Tiriac.
Who could ever protest? sorry, David, yours.
11 ace.
Yes, I was going to say there's almost a craze following, according to the two chaps from Split. Rosset is now handing his racket. I'm not sure that Ivanisevic is quite going to appreciate this from his friend. Ivanisevic is doing the same at the other end of the court. We're going to have a mixed singles now.
Now Rosset fancies his chances now. Right, back to the real business. 40 love, 12 aces.
Well, it does highlight the fact that I don't think we've seen one rally of more than 5 shots. And I don't... Well, there was the possibility that we might have.
Yes, Rosset sometimes stays back behind the second serve, doesn't he?
Yes, and Forget and Ivanisevic had some very long, almost 30-shot rallies.
Well, he's playing some inspired tennis. Has been all year, really, apart from at the Australian Open.
Yes, and I wondered whether his initial reaction was that he just didn't want to lose his focus, his concentration, his wherewithal.
Oh, he should have made that. At least made Rosset play.
Yes, I think these chaps at this level tend to think only of lines, don't they? And that can be a mistake, particularly when you've got Rosset's backhand volley. We haven't seen the creme de la creme from Ivanisevic, the running forehand of his that he can really turn on.
No, absolutely right. Still pretty serve dominated. 3-2, second set, Rosset.
IndyCar's back live on Eurosport. The start of a new season is just around the corner, but first we take you to the sunshine of Florida for a look ahead to another methanol-fueled year on the circuits and ovals of the United States. Young Mr. Villeneuve has gone over to Formula One, and we'll be meeting the men who'll be fighting to take his crown. So on Sunday, it's Indy evening, and it begins at 6:30 p.m. on Eurosport. With Husqvarna, Forest and Garden. Bridgestone, the science of performance. And Valvoline Motor Oil.
You're watching Eurosport's live coverage of the final of the Milan Indoors. from the Paratrussardi in Milan. Talk of the tournament next year, going back to the venue it was last year, the Forum, but we shall see. Ivanisevic serving 2-3 second set, having won the first.
Oh, plenty of time to get the long swing in there.
Aces.
Yes, I think he's 30 aces in 3 sets against Forget, maybe a record for this year in a 3-set match. Unless people on the other side of the Atlantic have been doing better this week.
Yeah, I wouldn't have thought so, because the big servers there, Rosset and Philippoussis, both lost in their first round, so unlikely they would have totted up that many in losing performances. There it is.
Well, it's an all-action shot, and that's why the crowd really loves it. It's a great shot, but there's a lot of running, there's a lot of athlete, and there's a lot of style.
Ace number 4 from Rosset. I make it that Rosset's conceded 8 points on serve and Ivanisevic 5 so far. And Rosset, of course, has lost serve. And he's in trouble again.
Well, so we've seen both sides of Ivanisevic. Not his character, but his ground strokes. He covered that again very well. Well, it was a volley that looked as if it might just drift wide. Tall man to get over. And often a good idea to smash whence the ball has come.
My word, it was close.
Yes, it was. Good call, though. And if the linesman had any doubts, he only had to look at Rosset.
It was actually the previous point, the fine overhead. It's Rosset assisting the linesman. Well, not only have we seen both sides of Ivanisevic in this game, we've now seen both varieties of backhand. Remember the sweeping full hit of the pass from the juice court, and now the little block steered pass from the ad.
There's a lot of legs and arm to get by there.
This is the first game of the match that's gone to deuce. See, we've only been playing 40 minutes. Rosset coming through a difficult game, that one, with a 5th ace. And the Swiss leads 4-3, second set.
Jetzt wird's aber Zeit. Das einzig wahre Barstange.
Just preparing a new set of tennis balls as we welcome you back to the Hala Trusadi. Fru, we're getting to the stage now where your one serve theory certainly applies, doesn't it?
I think it so often does. I think, as I've said before, it heightens the expectation because people are on the edge of their seats when there's only one serve, whereas you know with two serves that very often they're going to miss. I mean, for a player to get 60% first serves in really is pretty stylish, pretty good. And that really means a lot of wasted time, a lot of wasted balls, apart from the fact that, of course, you do just reduce the speed somewhat, having to get the serve in. There are not too many sports at which you get two shots.
Ivanisevic shooting with new balls. That's 3-4. His third double.
Yeah, it's just his second point lost in the set on serve. Well, this is the side from which he had his problems against Forget, and he's a sort of superstitious character. And I wouldn't be surprised if he's now aware of them.
Yes, and for the first time in the match, he stayed back behind the second serve then, and he said that was one of the reasons he let Forget off the hook, or very nearly did, yesterday.
Oh, that's just terrible. Because one can excuse him on the first one. He might have thought Ivanisevic was going into the net, and therefore he had to hit a good passing return. But there, he would have been aware that Ivanisevic was staying back. Hit the ball in at all costs.
For the first time in the match, Rosset has break points.
Surprised that Ivanisevic doesn't cover this down the line. Very difficult for Rosset to hit that across court. When the ball's that low and you're having to reach forward, it's virtually impossible.
15th ace saves the break point. 16th takes Ivanisevic to game points, and that's as quick as Goran normally serves, 205. Dispiriting for Rosset, but he's really only got himself to blame, as Fru was saying. Love 30 up and 2 second serves and didn't get either of them into play.
I don't think he broke a string, but he's looking for... I was hoping he was going to test the tension so we could tell whether he was going for a tighter or looser. Now that's a very high percentage of first serves, once they're over 60. It slightly lessens my argument about one serve only, but only slightly.
That's the first overrule of the match from Steve Ulrich, our American umpire. He missed it.
Yes, he got down to it nicely. And Rosset did well, because that's the volley that he can so often miss. that's the beauty of real pace on the serve, that it's therefore likely to come back fast, and that means the opposition doesn't have time to cover. It takes real skill to return speed with a soft touch.
Love game from Rosset. And he's in front once again. 5-4, second set.
Wenn Siege gefeiert werden. Das einzig wahre Warsteiner.
Small country for a great holiday.
Darauf bekommen Sie 242 Jahre mit Bewährung. Seit 1753. Das einzig wahre Warsteiner.
So those are the break points. You can see both men have had one. The difference is that Ivanisevic has converted one. But now he has to serve to stay in the second set at 4-5.
Yeah, you can see he was really expecting the backhand more than the forehand. And again, that's clever serving by Ivanisevic.
Oh, no, Marc, no need to do that.
Yeah, that's telling himself to move his legs. Telling himself, whipping himself. Remember what he did to his hand in Perth.
I think in case you don't, during the final of the Hopman Cup, when they were playing the mixed doubles, that's a mixed team competition, against Ivanisevic, Rosset playing with Hingis, Ivanisevic, Maimoi, Oli, that's 17th ace to bring us to 5-all. Rosset got a bit annoyed. One of those sponsors hoardings at the back, like the ones you see there, decided to punch it. Unfortunately, broke his hand. So he's actually only playing his 10th match of the year. Ivanisevic is playing his 28th. 5-all, second set.
Yes, they were in still with a chance. I think it was 5-all in the third set in that mixed doubles. Rosset and Hingis had a couple of match points, thus his anger. It cost him a lot of money and earned for Ivanisevic and Maioli a lot, and Ivanisevic and Maioli haven't looked back since.
Now Maioli up to number 4 in the world rankings now, isn't she? Terrific stuff. A first double fault from Rosset, and danger signals. Love 30.
Well, does he go for the conventional wide swinging serve to the backhand, or does he imagine that Ivanisevic is going to anticipate it? Oh.
Well, I must confess, you obviously thought it was wide. I
thought it may have got a bit of line.
Yes, so do I.
But
yes, it did hit the line. What a brave serve.
Right.
Ivanisevic is advancing on Steve Ulrich. I mean, there's no way that Steve could have
right from where you were, but come over here.
But you have to, I mean...
Well, Goran, if you could come up here and watch this replay, you would know that it wasn't a double fault. It was on the line.
Yes, it's one of those difficult ones, even for the player, because it's swinging so much. He can be deceived. It's not often they are.
So it was a sixth ace.
Of course, the crowd are particularly delighted. They get to see a bit more tennis. They'll be seeing him in the doubles later anyway. Well, this is a good clutch volley by Rosset, and if not played with crunch, it was at least steered rather more emphatically than he has been all week.
So Rosset gets himself out of the love 30 situation and is ahead 6-5. It'll be interesting to see how Ivanisevic reacts, given his disappointment on that call, albeit that it was a good call.
$5.216 Biere gibt es in Deutschland. Und Warsteine.
Look at the horses. Watch how they keep their heads still. Their feet barely touch the ground, like it's on fire. Watch how they keep their heads still. Watch how they keep their rhythm.
This advice from his coach won Jesse Owens 4 gold medals in the 1936 Olympics. And while the training and preparation is a little different today, the spirit of Jesse Owens will be running in Donovan Bailey's shoes.
Ivanisevic winning the first point of the 12th game of this set with a second serve winner, rather tame return. So now it's 30 love.
Yes, this is Rosset's problem against Ivanisevic, and it was pretty visible virtually from the word go. He's just unable to do much on the return.
Tie-break time. And Goran has got a very good tie-break record this year. Did lose one to Forget, did lose one to Stieg, but other than that, he's very, very impressive.
Yes, and leads Rosset 3-1 in tiebreakers played. Surprising, there's only been the 4 on 27 sets.
Rosset was there, and Goran gave him the initiative by staying back.
Well, the way he was loping around, much as the giraffe does, this was really a volley he ought to have made. Instead of cupping it, he tried to drive it somehow. And really, it was an important point because Ivanisevic's serve has just gone off the boil a little bit, one feels.
Mind you, that was a 19th ace. Two disastrous points from Rosset, a second double, and you give Ivanisevic 2 mini breaks and a tie break, you are in huge trouble. He gives one of them back, and he started staying back again.
Yes, I'm amazed at that. I can understand him as staying back when it's a really big point, and he doesn't want to take the chance of missing a volley. He's still not quite into that habit. But there, with a good lead, I think he really ought to have serve volleyed. Virtually the longest rally of the match. That was a 5-stroke rally.
For 2. $20 aces, he needs one more for around 100 for the week. That sort of says, I got you.
Well, I think he still has a lot of feeling left in him. The overflow from that match against Forget, leaving his best till last.
4 match points. Should have still saved 4 championship points. And still 3 of them remain, and these 2 are on the Ivanisevic serve. Number 3 of 1996 for the form player of 1996 so far. The good friends, and that friendship shows through. But he beat the other form player of the year, Boris Becker, in the semi-finals at Antwerp, then had the disappointment of losing that final. But Goran, who said he came here so tired, really not that keen to play. He said, when I got on court, the handshake with veteran Martic, his new coach, when he got on court, the competitive instincts got to him, and he wanted to win again, and that's precisely what he has again. 6-3, 7-6 in the champion, and as Marc Rosset steps forward, going to be interviewed by Leah Pericoli. The question I was going to put to Froome, we will do after the interview with Rosset, is just how good is Ivanisevic now?
Well, I think he's outstandingly good. That almost goes without saying. But just listening to Rosset, he does speak some Italian, so he's going to ramble on in that. But I think Ivanisevic now, with a much more cultured game to back up the vicious serving, And providing he can retain his temperament. We saw him against Forget, and he certainly lost it against Stick. Didn't so much lose his nerve or lose his temperament, but he lost his nerve. And if he can build on that, and I'm sure these wins will help him to build, then he becomes well, a terrific threat at any of the very major events.
Congratulating his mate. Well done, Rosset. First final of the year for the Olympic champion. First Swiss to reach the final, and as well as that plate and 183 computer ranking points. He takes away $68,000 for his week's work. Of course, Ivanisevic with a chance of doing the double.
He understands Italian, but I think it'll be in English.
Well, he's entitled to have a smile today. Father and mother will be very proud. I dare say they weren't so happy yesterday at his misbehaviour. Gives us a chance to thank our host broadcasters here in Italy, Rai and Telly Pugh, who've really looked after us very, very well, as indeed has the tournament. And I think their camera work and directing has been really first class. Let me remind you that Thursday sees the start of our coverage from Rotterdam. Sampras the top seed there, Ivanisevic the second, then Kavelnikov, then Rosset, then Birch, then Krajcek, Simmerink and Ullrich, and Tim Henman from Britain. Safety through the qualifying. He'll play Simmerink in the first round. It's another heavy trophy. I don't think you get that one in the plane. We came back from Dubai on the plane with Goran when he had that lovely silver Dow, the ship. So coming up next on Eurosport, it's the men's Super G from Japan. I hope you've enjoyed our coverage from Milan this week. Fru is going to Rotterdam, linking up with Simon Reed. And I'll see you the following week from Indian Wells, and then Fru and I will be back together for the second of the Super Nines from Key Biscayne in Florida. Ivanisevic, the champion again, from Milan. Bye-bye.
Fourth title of 1990.